Good day, everyone, and welcome to our episode 2 of our first arc in terms of what is pre-sales. My name is Steven, and it's a pleasure joining you again. Today, I have the honor of interviewing my good friend, Matt McCallum, and I'll let Matt introduce himself. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, Stephen. Good morning. It's great to be here with you. I'm the vice president of sales with Diabsolut. Been on board here with the team for coming up on I believe I'm into year 4, coming up on 5 years, and certainly the topic today is near and dear to my heart. So working with you and your group and the kind of impact and influence we have on customers is pretty critical to me and our overall success in driving revenue, but also critical to our customers as well, and in shaping their success going forward, and the initiatives they take on and the kind of investments they make with us. So glad to be here.
Awesome, Matt. Welcome, and thank you for your time. If you can just give a little bit more on your background and sort of your experience with pre-sales and solutions consulting, that would be great.
Yeah, I've been a high-tech channel sales guy for pushing up on a couple of decades. Dating myself a little bit there, but been around the block to see customers and the industry transition from really a hardware-driven kind of environment, at least from a sales perspective. Came up in the industry when servers were flying off the shelves like pizza boxes. Saw the transition into a virtual machine kind of environment, and the whole migration to cloud, impacting everything from backup and data recovery to just the way the customers are running their businesses fundamentally. So it's been a journey. I'm very partner focused. I've worked with a lot of large OEMs in the market, so love that piece of it and the relationships that you end up developing, and then again, just what we can do and do together on behalf of customers is what I love about this.
Awesome. And on our first episode, we really explained to the audience, what is pre-sales, what is a solutions consultant. And so I want to get your take. I mean, you've been in this industry, in this space for nearly 2 decades, working with both hardware and software. So my question to you, Matt, is what does a successful engagement with pre-sales look like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? And I think off the top, my answer is really when I think about a team like yours and what you drive, it's constant evolution, right? You and your group you've got to be at the forefront of everything all the time, and there's no doubt that technology moves faster than a lot of people can move if you've got sort of scattered priorities. You've got multiple customers, Stephen, right? You and your team, you've got people like me and the sales folks who are going to be pulling at your coattails all the time to engage, and that's because we need you. You're smarter than we are, and at least I hope so, or else we're all in trouble. And then you've got the end user customers, and what does success look like? It's trust, right? It's building out trust. It's based on fundamentally your group, a pre-sales team, having the requisite knowledge to solve problems and help partner with the different constituents that I mentioned, right? Ourselves, our end user customers, and throughout that process, really finding the best solution and fit for the customer, given any problem at hand, right? So broad brushstroke, that's kind of what it looks like for me. And I will tell you, you and your group, I thoroughly believe are some of the best in the industry.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the kind words, Matt. And something you said there just resonated with me. It's trust. It's building trust between you and I, myself and our partners, ourselves and our end customers, and just everyone we work with, right? Being that subject matter expert, there's a lot of trust put into our role and where we contribute, whether it's an opportunity or just a casual conversation in the office. So that's something I take a lot of pride in. So it seems like there's quite a lot involved between, a solutions consultant and a sales opportunity. So Matt, in your mind, when would be the good time, a perfect time to involve them in such a cycle?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's easy to kind of sit back and say, from a business perspective, like we look at cost of sale, right? And we
Yeah.
we have to pay attention to how much is going into our cycles on maybe an underqualified or a less qualified opportunity. Um, but selfishly, earlier is better. And I
Mm,
say selfishly because one, my mandate is revenue driven, and
mm-hmm,
there's no doubt in my mind that um, I go back to trust, right? That your
mm-hmm,
team, when you get involved earlier, the impact on that cycle, should we be in a competitive situation, is highest when you're in and you're together with our account executives
very
right out
true.
of the gate. But there is responsibility, right, that the sales team owns as well in
Mm-hmm,
making sure that we've got alignment with the customer, and that there's a recognition of that investment that we're going to make. And that's one of the things that I think sets us apart as a partner with our core um, strategic
mm-hmm,
partners in Salesforce and Certinia. We do make that investment, right? And I think that customers, that come to work with us will recognize exactly why we do that and the sort of value that we can layer into our engagement with them. And I do think that there's a consistency that we're able to create, and the
mm-hmm,
handover. We're a professional services business, as you know. Um, but the team and the tribal knowledge that you develop about a customer and those interactions, that handover that you start to make over to a delivery organization as well is
right.
critical. So I think you've got to be in early, Stephen, for maximum impact. But the onus is again on the sales group to make sure that the customers really bought into those cycles as well, because your team ain't cheap, right? So
Yeah.
let's face it, it's an investment.
Awesome. Love to hear it. And I get that all the time. The earlier, the better. But you mentioned something very key and something that we always have to consider. It's cost, right? I mean, at the end of the day, sales can be seen as a cost center. So I'm wondering, I mean, is it always the earlier the better? Is there some scenarios or use cases, types of customers, types of industries where you may want to involve us later or even earlier than you anticipate?
Well, I think sometimes it's going to depend on the the balance that you strike with the partner. We're a
Right.
channel driven organization, right? And I mentioned Salesforce, Certinia.
Mm-hmm.
They've got folks in roles as well, and I think what we're seeing right now in the market is an even heavier reliance on us to step up to the plate and make the investment and really be
Very true.
the solutions provider to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. That works out well for us. But I think about maybe other organizations that aren't built that way.
Right.
Our history, right? We come from that click software background. In
Right.
fact, we're a reseller, right? So part of our DNA is in the ability to support a product sale as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I think that has really turned us into a rocket ship in our ability to solution together with customers and partners in the sales cycle. I'll say this, and this is something that you've kind of got to figure out as a business, and depending
Yeah.
on where you're aimed in the marketplace, there are certain segments where that's always going to be the debate: is how do you productize those
Right.
cycles with a customer, and again with an eye on cost reduction, but still delivering hopefully um, a customer experience and kind of excellence at that first initial point of contact with the customer, or at any point in that sales cycle, Stephen.
Very well said, Matt. I mean, there's so many factors in varying degrees. It may be difficult for some to identify what that perfect moment is, but I think our organization here, and Matt, you specifically, you've been amazing really at that moment of entry for our team, and how much and how thoroughly to involve our team as well. I think that's been great. You were mentioning a couple of the trends and market things that you're seeing here, so I would love to get your opinion on what are some of those trends, short-term trends and long-term trends that you're seeing in the business?
Well, I think this year is kind of a wacky one. There's a lot of economic uncertainty.
Yeah,
We came out of a really weird couple of years with the pandemic. And we've seen a combination of we've seen some tough times, right,
yeah,
with the partners and with people, and that's rough to watch when you go through I'll call it resizing
right.
staffing. So that's certainly one of the things. I mean, from a customer perspective, I think it's kind of this wacky, depending on where you're positioned in the marketplace, it's this wacky
Right.
time where there is still money available. I think I was reading an article the other day where their companies are still holding more cash in the bank,
Yeah.
free cash, than at any point in history.
Yeah.
So it's not that funds aren't there. Granted, the cost of lending, it's money is more expensive today than it was a year ago, 2 years
Of
ago,
course.
certainly. So it does impact those customer decision-making cycles to a degree. Um, this year, what I think it all nets out to, I'm hearing a lot about fast ROI.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot about, if you're going to spend the money, you know, show me, prove to me that we're making it back
Right.
in the near term. So I think that's a big thread, and I think that's one of the areas where your team really gets it as well.
Hmm.
You're highly technical, but you're also a savvy business person, and I see that trickle
Hmm.
down throughout your organization and having some really intelligent why buy type discussions with customers.
Hmm. No, that's really well said, and that comment you made of a lot of businesses holding a lot of money. It's like almost long gone are the days where they got to expend a budget within a fiscal year and they want to almost rack it up and make the best informed decision. And I think having a pre-sales organization to help create and curate that message of an informed decision for a customer, I think that's a trend that I'm really starting to see in my own career, as well as those that I work with and I support. So any comments on that or any closing comments about a future trend in and around that area?
I mean, it'll be interesting, right? We're getting into some really interesting themes from a
Yeah.
technology perspective. I mean, it's chat GPT is almost like
Oh,
a
yeah.
buzzword, but as AI accelerates and that kind of intelligent processing capability starts to really emerge, what does that mean?
Right.
Um, it's going to be interesting to watch, right? My boss sometimes jokes around with me that chat GPT is gonna still put me out of a job at some
I'm
point.
hearing the
So
same thing. Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, I guess it depends on whether or not Chat GPT can figure out if it's having a good day or a bad day. Um, I mean, you get it, Stephen. You touch customers all day long,
Yeah.
and there's something to the human touch and the human
Yeah.
relationship that we create that's really critical. We're a tech we're a tech company. We're
Hmm.
technologists. Um, but really the criticality of success is still determined by people and the kind of relationships you form, the trust you develop, and your commitment to
Much
deliver.
agreed. Much agreed.
And so, you know, I guess that was one example of where things are going. But I still think it all comes back down to formulating, emphasizing relationships, and the focus on people and people's success.
Awesome. Love to hear it, Matt. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. So I just want to really give my greatest gratitude to you, Matt, for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And to everyone out there, thank you for your time. Stay tuned. Our final episode in Arc 1 will better explore trends and market research that we're seeing in the pre sales organizations across the industry. Again, thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.